What's up, YouTube? Today we are starting something for the whole month of August. It is called the Every Bit Counts Challenge. Jessica with Three Rivers Homestead put this challenge forth, and she makes really amazing challenges that really inspire a lot of creativity, motivation, inspiration, and I really enjoy being part of her challenges. Go check out her hashtag Every Bit Counts Challenge after this video to see if you would like to participate as well. Basically, the challenge means you are going to preserve one thing every day for the whole entire month of August. For me, this is kind of awesome because a lot of times I'm busy. We have football and volleyball starting back up. We have stuff coming out of the garden, and a lot of times I will make excuses like I don't need to do that today. I'll do it another day. I don't want to do it right now. But with this challenge, it has forced me to look at the smaller things that I always brush aside, and I'm able to do those things. And in this case, I'm going to create more space in my freezer for all of the stuff that's coming out of the garden. So it's a win-win situation. For the first day of the Every Bit Counts Challenge, I decided to make bone meal. Now I know this did not come from my garden, and we are not going to eat this. Don't eat bone meal. It doesn't sound awesome. Probably shouldn't eat bone meal. Anyways, it very much goes into play largely with what we do eat. We use this in our garden, and between the animals and our family of 8, we get a lot of really nice, awesome vegetables from our garden with the help of bone meal. We are completely organic, so we don't use any powders or sprays or anything from the store at all, and these are all bones from primarily our own farm. We did get some beef bones from the locker here in town. Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys how I do this bone meal. It's super duper easy. I think you can buy bone meal for $10 a pound, depending on the brand or location that you buy it, but why not make your own? A little bit will last a lot. Like, this will be plenty for next year, our entire garden season. So let me show you guys how I make it. Okay, so first you're going to collect your bones. This is something, I mean, I guess you could go just buy some bones. If you didn't have any bones saved up and you wanted to make bone meal, you could just go get some bones from the locker, some beef bones or pork bones or whatever. However, throughout the course of the year, we save all of our bones, our chicken bones, rabbit bones, all of our bones. The only bones that are not ours are the beef bones that we get from the locker. That takes up quite a bit of space in my freezer. Not a whole bunch, but enough to where when I'm preserving the stuff that comes out of the garden, it is going to be something that I have to work around, and it's a pain in the ass, and it's just easier if I get them out of there and break them all down. I mean, this was a big bulky bunch of bones at one point, and now it's in this quart jar, and it sits nicely in our front porch and doesn't take up a lot of space. So in the winter months, we like to save our bones for bone broth. It is essentially bone broth that we are making, except for we're not using the broth part of it. We are using the bone part of it. We absolutely do use the water that comes from me making bone meal to give to the chickens and to the pigs and stir it in with the dog food once in a while. There's a lot of good nutrients inside of that water. I mean, it's essentially bone broth without the carrots and celery and whatever else people add to their bone broth. So anyways, I mean, nothing is wasted at that point. So we eat our meals, our chickens, our rabbits, or whatever. We end up saving our bones, and then we cook our bones down, and we either use them for this, or we use it for bone broth, and you could even use it for both. Like, if you wanted to go ahead and make a bone broth and still just use these bones, you could absolutely do that. I just usually do one big batch of the bones for the bone meal, and that's what we do with that. And I give the rest of it to the animals. You're gonna save your bones throughout the year, put them in plastic baggies, throw them in the freezer, and then you are going to want to soften those bones up, get all the marrow and stuff out of it, and create something that you can break down into a powder form. The first step of that is to boil your bones. We like to use an Instant Pot. It cuts it down like 10 hours of time. If you were doing this on the stovetop, you would be boiling this for 12 hours of the day. So start early in the morning, and you could be done by supper time or a little bit after. But in the Instant Pot, it only takes 2 hours on the highest pressure setting, and that is what we decide to do every time. It's just much easier for our family. Plus, it's been like 1,000,000 degrees outside, and I don't want the oven on. because it's very hot, especially for 12 hours. Once you're done doing that step, you're gonna see that any meat or skin or anything that's left on those bones, all the bone marrow inside of them is going to just completely fall off of there. You can just take a fork or a spoon or whatever and scrape anything that's kind of stuck on there. It comes right off. And then you are going to place your bones onto a baking sheet with some parchment paper. We're gonna bake them at 425 degrees for 2 hours. Mine went a little bit longer because I completely forgot about them, so they're a little bit darker than what they normally would be, but that's okay. We just have a nice brown bone meal this time. It's totally fine, still bone meal, it's gonna be okay. Kitty! This kitty is attacking my feet down here. Once you have done this step in the oven, you are going to see that you can take the chicken bones and just snap them in half. The beef bones just kind of crumble. I wouldn't be doing this with your hands because bones are very sharp, and I have been cut by bones and it's not awesome. You do not want to do that. Either way, this makes it to where we can finally grind these down into a powder form that we are going to be able to feed our plants with next spring. So we just have an old crappy food processor that I use. Both of our food processors are just cheap ones that I use for stuff like this. Grinding up charcoal and bone broth and like stuff that we don't eat. But I think I killed my food processor this time. I ended up having to do the last little bit of the bones by hand, and that's okay. If you don't have a food processor, you can totally still do this. If you don't have an Instant Pot, you can still do this. And I know that it's gonna take a little bit more time if you don't have a food processor, but it's totally worth it, and it's totally free. And why not? I enjoy the process of doing things in long form a lot of times when it comes to like baking and anything crafty or creative or homesteady. I really like the process of doing the things. So if you do not have a food processor, a way to break these down into a powder form, you just take them outside onto a sidewalk. Don't do it on a tray because you'll dent your tray all up. I tried it on a tray. It will dent your tray up, your cookie sheet. Just do it right on the sidewalk. It's just bones, so I mean, if there's dust and dirt on your sidewalk, it's gonna be okay because you're literally gonna sprinkle this in dirt next spring. It doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be perfect. Throw your bones on the sidewalk, cover them with a tea towel or some sort of cloth, and you're gonna take a pretty good sized hammer and you're just gonna crunch them up. And it's gonna ruin the tea towel, so make sure that you have an old tea towel that you're okay with throwing away. And then any of the like stubborn pieces that I couldn't get through the tea towel, I just very gently hit them with the hammer, and so that way they don't fly everywhere. Probably, I mean, just because we're on YouTube, I should put a disclaimer of wear goggles if you're doing this so you don't get shards of bone in your eye, even though I'm pretty sure all of you are smart enough to know that. Or hit the bones at your own risk without goggles like I did. But either way, it's not my problem, it's not my fault. You're a big girl or boy. You can make decisions for yourself. Anyways, that is literally it. And then you put it into an airtight container. It could be a Ziploc baggie. It doesn't have to be a fancy jar. And then all of those big bulky bones that were in my freezer are now in this nice little jar that will sit with my gardening stuff until next year. So anyways, I have a lot of stuff planned. I actually have a full 9 days coming of stuff that we're going to preserve for the month of August. So hopefully every day this month I will have a video out. If not, we do have volleyball and football happening right now, and shit gets a little crazy when the kids are in sports. But they will be going back to school here soon, so it will absolutely free up a little bit of time, at least from 8 to 3 during my day. So I'll be able to stay on top of things a little more then. Our little kitties have eye infections. I got them drops. This is just day 2 of the drops. Isn't it? So look at my poor little eyes. Look at them. Poor little kitties. They don't seem to care. But I care because it looks terrible. It looks like it hurts. Also, we discovered that one of our pigs has pig lice. How the fuck does that happen? There's a monarch butterfly that just flew by. Yeah. Our pig today, I was petting her and there was this weird bug on her and I thought it was a tick, but it didn't look quite like a tick. It looks like a tick, but a little bit different. And then I found a couple more and found out that it's called swine lice. And it said that they get it from other pigs, but there are literally no other pigs here or around here. So that's a fun adventure I'll be able to make a video about. And if you know anything about swine lice, please let me know. We did some diatomaceous earth and sprinkled it all over them, and yeah, we'll see what happens. It was terrible. And people can't get swine lice, thank God, because I have lots of hair and I don't want lice. That would be terrible. Okay, that's all I've got for you guys. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, go check out the hashtag Every Bit Counts Challenge, and see all of the other channels. I think there's like 100 and some channels that are participating in this challenge as well. This is really cool to see all of the things that people are doing, even if it's something relatively small and not exactly something that you're going to put into your mouth, but something that ties into what you're going to put into your mouth. Still preserve it every day of August. You'll feel really productive and accomplished, and it's just a great idea. Thanks, Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead. I appreciate you and your motivation. All right, goodbye!